For our final Advent reflection today, as we wrap up this series of thinking about Mary's voice, I wanted to land in John's Gospel, the very beginning, prologue to John's Gospel. Traditionally, this is read in the Advent season. I'm going to read a few verses. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. This is the truth that Mary is the primary first witness to, that the Word became flesh, the one through whom everything came into existence, the one who was with God in the beginning, the one in whom all life has its origin and source. The Word became flesh and in traditional language tabernacled among us, spent time, came to hang out in the neighbourhood. There are all of these different translations. But from Mary's perspective, the Word became flesh in her womb. She was the primary witness to the incarnation. And so as John's Gospel says with the other disciples, we have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. Mary too was a witness, and she saw the glory of Jesus, and she didn't keep it to herself. She testified, she made that truth known. She gave us the details of the birth narratives of the life of Christ. She was, as the early church fathers called her, Theotokos. And in her Magnificat, she pointed to the Most High God. She pointed to the one who's way magnificent beyond her tiny role. She spoke of herself as being the humble who'd been lifted up by God's grace, by God's blessing. So let's finish our Advent reflections with that thought, that the Word became flesh and dwelt among us in our world. And that meant that the light shone in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. As we finish, let's finish with an Advent prayer. O King of all nations and keystone of the church, come and save man whom you formed from the dust. O Emmanuel, our King and giver of the law, come to save us, Lord our God. Amen.